for these bonus episodes, we're going to have one other one after this. We are going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. These last videos before the end of the regular season for the Montreal Canadiens, which will go down as the worst in franchise history. Remember, Stu, those days where you were counting down the days until the season was over? I'm sure you must be very happy at the fact that we are at the finish line for this year. I'd love to know your main takeaways from this god-awful, dumb, stupid, terrible year for the Montreal Canadiens.
Well, thank you to Marty St. Louis for at least making some of it tolerable.
At least.
Change, it was like, oh my God, I can't. How are we going to watch all of this? So at least there was a little spurt there. But I think looking back, like it's one of those, everything that could go wrong went wrong for this team, right? Right from the start. I mean, Shea Weber, your captain, unable to come back. Carey Price, your goalie, is out. They traded Philip Deneau. It was like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. The COVID came in. It was just an avalanche of things. But I think it also just showed that this team, how it was all Carey Price basically getting this team to the Stanley Cup final last year. I mean, this team had no business being in the Stanley Cup final last year. Carey Price was amazing, and the team fed off of him, went all the way to the Stanley Cup final, and they started without Carey Price this season, and we saw what happened. And there was a lot of holes on this team. I think letting Deneau go was a mistake. I think I was a huge Philip Deneau fan. I think fans who maybe didn't appreciate him that much appreciate him more now. But it was a case of a team that went to the Stanley Cup final that wasn't really a Stanley Cup final team. The goalie carried them there. And then this year with the pieces they lost and the injuries and everything just fell apart. So it's remarkable to think a team went from the Stanley Cup final to a team that's going to finish last in the overall NHL standings and may have the first pick at the draft.
What about you, Knuckles? What are your takeaways from this season?
Yeah, it was really hard to watch. Like Stu said, all the players they lost. Honestly, I think the Deneau thing was all engineered anyway. You look at where he is now. I mean, come on. I didn't fall off the turnip truck, okay? And I just think, losing all those guys, Price being injured, and we know what happened, him going into the players' assistance program, Weber gone. A lot of transition. A lot of things up in the air. Some of the contracts were terrible, and they're going to cost this team moving forward. But go figure. They bring in a Boston guy to clean up this mess here in Montreal, and I think it was a great move.
I knew someone was going to make that joke at some point. I didn't expect it. It should have been Knuckle. No, I know.
It's not a joke. It's legit because this guy, he did it as Jeff Gorton did it in Boston as a fill-in GM. He brought in Chara. He drafted Marchand, Kessel. He brought in Tuukka Rask. Then he goes to New York and does what he does in New York, and now he's here. Now, along with, and I'm not throwing shade at Hughes, but I think these two together are going to really be able to figure things out, and it's going to take some time. This season was certainly terrible. I think it's the curse of Tony Marinaro. He always wanted the first pick, and of course it's still cursed because this isn't the year you really want the first pick. It's next year. But listen, I think they're going in the right direction, and one direction I think they have to get, and one thing they have to do is get bigger. They're a small team, and if they don't get bigger, they'll never be able to contend in the playoffs. Listen, we saw what they did, and I believe, they got lucky and they gelled. They got great goaltending last year. It's unbelievable what they did in the playoffs. But that ain't happened again. And we know what happened in the final. You need a team that's going to be able to be standing at the end. I'll just take, for instance, Rick and I, when we played, we had a big team that year. A team that at the end, we were able to withstand the rigors, the physicality, the pressure, the mental, emotional drain on you to be able to go all the way. And they have a fragile group right now, and it's going to take time to change that. But, there's only one way to go, baby, and that's up. They can't get any worse than now.
And let's face it, expectations, obviously, getting to the final were, okay, we're going to have another successful run coming this year. But man, oh man, how many times do we talk about direction and, execution and defensive zone play right from, Ducharme's so-called new system that nobody seemed to buy into. But
It was bad.
It just was horrendous to watch what was going on. Lack of heart, lack of desire, no motivation. Everything that could go wrong, like Stu said, was going wrong. Nobody was going to do or want to do anything to make the difference between winning and losing. So, as we all know, just a matter of time before coaching change. Then, you have some personnel, some small personnel moves that help them a little bit, but the real picture here is getting a reading on what they have in their dressing room now that is not doing it. Yes, we've seen some improvement in desire, but as far as the overall talent pool goes, they've got a little bit of work to do to try and change up their personnel to play at a higher level of NHL to date. So I'm hoping that there's going to be changes in a number of people come summertime, and we can have more to talk about in a positive way than what we've had for 3/4 of the year.
Well, just quickly, I just go back to Game 6 of the first round series against the Leafs in overtime. Habs facing elimination. They get outshot 13-2 in overtime, and they win because of Carey Price. If the Leafs scored and won that game, last offseason might have been a lot different. The coach might not come back. The GM might not come back. There might have been wholesale changes during the offseason last year, but Carey Price standing on his head in that overtime game led to everything else that came afterwards, including a 3-year contract for Dominic Ducharme.
But Martin St. Louis have taken over that soon at that point. Who knows what would have happened in a much different reality for the Montreal Canadiens if they lose that series to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But of course, that didn't happen. And a lot of Canadiens fans, of course, are very thankful for the memes. But anyway, let us know in the comment section your main takeaways from this horrible, terrible season for the Montreal Canadiens. Subscribe to the show, subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out newsletter, and be on the lookout for more bonus episodes. And visit hockeyinsideout.com for more fun stuff. The Canadiens, they were terrible this year. And let's hope they're never this terrible again.